First, let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to Venerable Mang Liao Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Tsongkhong. Homage to the 16 Dharma King Karmapa. And homage to Master Thubten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of Homa today, the Golden Mother of the primordial Jetpon. And Dong Yi Da Di Se Zui Zhen Jun, San Yan San Ping, San Guang Da Di, which is the emperor of the eastern mountain of the god of Mount Tai, and all the Xing Su, all the planetary stars. So Simu, Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma instructors, Dharma assistants, chapter leaders, all disciples present here and over the internet. Our distinguished guests today are the wife of Ambassador Daniel Liao, Dharma Sister Judy, the Taiwan representative to Sweden, and accountant to Buddha Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa, and producers for the Kennedy Sangxingdeng of CTI TV Taiwan, Dharma Sister Rebecca Shiachi, Dr. Ryan Zhuang, and wife. And the representative of a Taiwan council person, Ms. Hui Ling. And my sister Umi Xian of the Fuxing Airline. And from the Voices from Heaven choir group, Dharma Sister and Dr. Gao. Good afternoon, everybody. How do you do? Let me announce to you that next Sunday is the Dragon Festival, the annual sea fair in Seattle, and we have no Homa ceremony. And in Chinatown, we have a booth there. So we don't have a roadside stall, but it's a booth. It's so once a year we go to Chinatown, and then we will also visit the True Buddha Seattle chapter. And to consecrate the fortune god board or placard there, where you can register your name to be blessed by the fortune god there, and $888 per person. So we will participate in the Sea Fair or the Dragon Festival in the International District of Seattle. So today we had the Homa of Golden Mother and also of the Dong Yi Da Di, so the emperor of the eastern peak or mountain. So all together So most people know about Golden Mother, but fewer people would know about Dongyi Dadi. There are five peaks in China: east, west, north, south, and the central. So we often say Deng Taishan is Sao Tianxia, which means that Taishan, the Mount Tai, is very tall, and Dongyi refers to Mount Tai. That in the China's religion, they were referred as the 5 sacred mountains. So if you, the emperor, when the emperor pay obeisance to the heavens, they would go to this Mount Tai. And the emperor of this eastern sacred mountain or peak is above the 10 Yama kings. So his position is higher than the earthly gods. So he had the Dharma practice for abdicating or erasing your punishment. There's a brush here, a writing brush. Yes.
Pardon.
Sir. So it's like you can eliminate your sins or your crimes. So if you have done a lot of great merits in this world and you have sins or transgressions, so he uses this writing brush to cross it off. So that's why he's called the emperor of the eastern peak, and that can pardon your crimes or transgressions. And the mark is like holding this sign of mountain, Mount Tai. It's not Tarzan, which is like in the movie. So there was this joke that I don't know if I can tell. Tarzan was swimming in the water, and then he got out of it, and all the monkeys were jumping and laughing at him. So Tarzan was very puzzled why the monkeys were shouting and laughing. And then the reason why the monkeys laugh was because they never saw tail growing in the front. And the tail was very short too. So that's a joke about Tarzan. So this god from Mount Tai, Taishan, sounds like Tarzan in Chinese. So he's a very superior mountain god, and he has the ability to pardon all crimes and transgressions. So he is the in god of the young world, and there are many spirits that would go to Mount Tai to report there.
这边有写啊，是重点。泰山神君又叫泰山。
And the key here is that the god from Taisan
人间的玉皇大帝，是泰山寿台上有一个山的记号，山的记号。
So the sign is the sign of the mountain. Sorry, I missed the earlier one. And the sit syllable is the black R sit syllable, and the mantra. And the mudra is the Vajra mudra. It's not the three mountain mudra. So either one is fine. This is the mudra for the three mountains. Three mountain mudra. Just looks like a mountain because that's Taisan, Mount Tai.
泰山都是三三印，金刚手印也是可以的，泰山读经还有金刚手印。
Or the Vajra mudra is also fine like this.
Om Besa Guru Ratu Ahom Soha。这个主管善恶，他专门管善恶啊。
And he especially in charge of the goods and bads in the human world. So that this time, the Golden Mother, the Mount Tai God, and San Yuan San Ping San Guang Da Di. So it's the journal for the heaven, the earth, and water. The three great emperors also came, and the 28 planetary stars all came. So the God from the Mount Tai is a very big God that is in charge of the goods and bads in the world, and that can pardon your crimes. So this brush is very interesting, that you can cross off all the transgressions from the past, and it's due to the merits that you have created, huge merits that you have created. So there are 5 peaks or 5 sacred mountains in China: Taisan, Huashan, Hengshan, Songshan. It's Hengshan, meaning balanced mountain, and then the other Hengshan, 平衡的衡，另外一个是什么衡？ And the eternal mountain, also meaning Hengshan. So geomancy and feng shui are very strange. That Mount Meru and the Himalaya, and in China it's called the Kunlun Mountain, and in India it's called Himalayas. 2 mountains, they are very, very tall. and all the dragon paths, they all came from Kunlun Mountain, like the 5 fingers of a hand. They came from the northwestern region all the way, and Taiwan Yushan is the mountain range, one of the important ones. So like this time we talk about Yushan of Taiwan, which is taller than Mount Fuji of Japan. So in the past, when the Japanese occupied Taiwan, they called Yushan is the new tall mountain because it is taller than Mount Fuji. And all typhoon that comes to Taiwan, it's from the east, and then it would be blocked by Yushan. So the big typhoon becomes medium or small typhoon, and the small typhoon just becomes windstorm. So Yushan become Fukushima. And this time we have a lot of destructions on the east because they protect the west but not the east. So what kind of country are we? So Taitung, Hualien on the eastern part of Taiwan, and it protects the west but not the east. So someone called them that this is the mountain god who protects half of Taiwan. So the Easterners resent that. So like people from Lanyi, Taitung, Hualien, they all suffered and they didn't get any protection. So it should be equal. Yeah, because this mountain is high. Because Yushan was very tall. So the typhoon is not as tall as the mountain. So like when the wind hit a block, of course they lose power. But on a flat valley, then they would be really bad. So good thing that we have the central mountain range, Yushan, that could block the typhoon. So mountain is very important. In Tibet, all the tall mountains are called the sacred mountains, like Tangku San. Mount Tanggula was also called the sacred mountain. They often circumambulate the mountain, and they think that their crimes or sins would be pardoned by circulating around the mountain. Or the sacred lake, Lamulato or Yongzoyong. They are all sacred lakes, and tall mountains were all referred as the sacred mountains. And the 3 sacred mountains have great power. The 5 longevity celestial goddess is the 5 sages of the Gangdi Sesan or Tangkula mountain. They are all very famous sacred mountains. And the 5 peaks in China are also referred as the sacred mountains, especially Taisan or Mount Tai. They're very precious. And today we will continue to talk about Lamdre. And And the translator, Master Dogme, finally attained both the development stage and the completion stage attainment. So there are two stages. One is development stage, the other one is completion stage. So the completion stage is the sacred ground, and the development stages is the mundane ground, is in the world. It can purify, it can enrich, subjugate, magnetize. When all of these are perfect, that means you have perfect development stage. And you have great power. You can help people to have a perfect development stage, which means you can help people purify, eradicating disasters, enhancing benefits, and to subdue the enemies, and to gain harmony. That's the worldly development stage. And completion stage means that your chi is flowing smoothly, and your channels are all open and flowing, and the light drops are very full inside your body. And due to the spiritual cultivation of the chi channel and light drops, you gain the radiance of the heart. And then using this heart light, you transform to become rainbow and merge with the universe and having an attainment this way. That's the completion stage. So he attained the siddhi of both the development stage and the completion stage. So this is quite incredible. Most people would gain things of the world, but not necessarily from the outer world, or vice versa. But he's perfect in the worldly realm and also in the heavenly realm. So both development stage and completion stage. He could stay in space by the power of breath or breeze. This is even more incredible. Once a master asked me, can a human being float in the air? A spiritual cultivator can float in the air? And my answer was yes, as long as you had the mastery or power, then you can float in the air. But you cannot do it just for show, like the long eyebrow Pindolu just showed off his transcendental power. At that time, at Sakyamuni's abode, there was a big tree, and there was a normal, ordinary being that put something on top of the tree, and then asked all the arhats, if you have transcendental power, then you would be able to take the bag down from the top of the tree. And none of the arhats moved except Pindolu. As soon as he stood up, he was like a bird, and then took the bag down from the top of the tree. And when Sakyamuni Buddha heard about it, he called Pindolu, and he was my good friend. because at that time the caves where we cultivate spiritually were very close to each other. That's why I was very close to Pindolu. So Sakyamuni Buddha called on Pindolu. So you showed your transcendental power just to dilute sentient beings. So all the arhats can go to the four sagely realms, except you will always stay in the human realm forever. So that's why whenever we make a meal offering or banquet for the Sangha, we would always prepare a seat for Pindolu as well. He was the only arhat that stays in the Saha world, that never could go to the four sagely realms. When I went to the Todaiji in Nara, Japan, the temple there, I saw Pindolu, and I saw him, and he saw me, and I saw his eyes turning several times. So I said that if you have problems with your body, you go and touch that part on Pindolu's statue and you would be cured. And there's a witness on this. The law advisor to Buddha Foundation from Malaysia, Mr. Luo Liang, he had a bad stomach ever since he was young. He was very skinny. He couldn't eat. He couldn't eat lots of stuff. He always had problems with his stomach ulcer. And he's seen many doctors and couldn't get cured. So when this Dhamma brother Luo Liang heard that, and I reminded him, Pindolu is here, and he touched the stomach area. And then, sure enough, his stomach has changed. Ever since that Japan trip until now, his stomach is still fine. He loves eating pineapple, and he didn't dare to take in any before, and now he can eat a whole pineapple. You know, we say pineapple is very sharp and you can't eat a lot of it, but he could eat the whole pineapple at one time. That's the lawyer Luo Liang. So Pindolu was there, and I saw him. I saw his eyes were moving, and immediately Luo Liang immediately climbed on the statue. And Pindolu was very happy to see me because many lives ago, the cave he cultivated in was next to my cave. So as soon as Luo Liang touched the stomach area of Pindolu, he could start to eat a lot of things. He was very pale before, but now he looks very good. He is much healthier. If you know about this, please raise your hand. Many people know about this story. His stomach has got well. So you could sit in the cross legs and float in the air. Let me tell you why. It's the power of the breath or breeze. So what
气
can
球可以飞
float
在
in
空
the
中，
air?
气球
balloon
是靠什么力量飞在空中？
And what power does it
是
rely
靠
on?
空袭之力，
It's the power of wind or
它就是
air.
空气呀、你
So
那个
air,
气进去了，它就能够
And
升起来，飞在
you
空中。
put the air inside the balloon
它的
and then
力
it
量
will
大
float.
过于地心引力，你就可以浮在空中。
Because if the power is
然后
greater
跟
than
这位
the
上司，那上司问
gravity, then
我
you
我就
would
跟
be
这
able
位上
to
司讲，
float.
你的空袭之力
So
大
that
过于
master
地
who
球
asked
的
me,
这个地心吸引
I
力
told
的时
him
候，你就可以浮在空中。
when the power of your
这
breath
总
or
你意思
air
啊，能
is
够
greater than
用空
gravity,
袭
then
之
you
力
would be able to float
浮
in
在
the
空
air.
中，
And
这表示它的
Drogmi was
气
able to do so.
修得非常好。
And this showed
他身体的皮
that
肤啊
he must have
当成一个
practiced
气
qi very
的
well,
那个表面，
that
里面
his
是空的，
skin was like the
它
balloon,
吸进了
and
气，
inside it's
把整
empty.
个气充满他的身体，
And then he took in air and
超
filled
过
his
了
whole
地心的
body.
吸引力的时候，它
When
慢
it
慢就浮升在
exceeded
空中，
the gravity, then he would gradually
在
rise
这个空中，
in the
他就有
air.
这种力量。
Then he would have such power.
所以密勒日巴也能，密勒日巴也可以，
And Milarepa
密勒日
could
巴
do
也
that
能够飞
too.
行在空中。
He could float or fly in the air.
但是像这种这个神通啊，一般来讲，
But this kind of
在佛是
transcendental power
呵斥的啊，
was
呵
not
斥那个读着翅膀，呵斥这种神通的，因为这种
most
神通没有错
Buddhist temples
你只要能够
reprimand
浮
this
在
kind of
空中
transcendental power
不
because
是魔术哦，不是魔术，那魔术也能够浮在空中。
but it's
魔
not
术也
magic.
也可以，
It's
整
not
个
like
但
the
是它
play
不
of
是魔术
magician.
它
This
在
is not magic.
随便哪一个地方，它都可以浮起来，浮在空中。
Anywhere he would
魔
be
术
able
一
to
定要有
float
表
in the
演的
air.
魔术台，它才可以浮在空中。
But
它
for
离
the
开那个
magic
台
show, you need
就会
a
跌下来。
certain kind of altar
就会跌
or
下来。
stage, certain kind of stage.
所以它任何
Otherwise
时候
you
都
would
可以浮
fall.
在空中的。
But
这
he
是空
could
袭之力，
he could
它已经
float in the air anytime
你吸
by the
来的
power
气
of the
就像
air
气球里面的气充满，
So when you breathe
然后把你
in,
身体
inhale the
放
air and fill your body
这
like
一
the
种力量
balloon, and then you can make your body float in the
神
air.
意是
He
以
had
此
such
而
power.
转道用，不舍肉身而成佛果。
He
他
foretold
曾经这样子讲，
that his death would be
他说，
used as a
他
means
这个肉
to
身
show that you
都
can
可以成
attain
为佛，
Buddhahood without leaving the physical body.
肉身都可以
That
成为
his
佛。
physical
一般
body
人
can
讲
become
这
a
样
Buddha land.
肉身
For most
像
people,
这个基督教牧师在坟场做仪式，
like
神父在坟场做仪
when
式
the，priest or
他是这样子
father
讲，
from the Catholic
灵归灵，
Church performed the
土归
funeral, he would say
灵
that
魂归灵魂，
uh,
上升，
the
土归
spirits
就是你的
return
肉身，就
to the spirits
就归
and
到土地上。
dust return to dust.
以
The body
肉身
returns
举
to
起来
dust.
成佛的很少。
And it's very rare to have one
释迦牟尼
to
佛用
use the
金
physical
冠
body to
旋
attain
转
Buddhahood.
浮在空中。他临终的时
Sakyamuni
候，
Buddha,
人家
at
给
the
他
time
入
of his
金冠
parinirvana,
然后他可以浮起来，然后在空中旋转，用金冠
when
旋转。
he entered into parinirvana, he was entered into
不
a
舍肉身
coffin,
而
and the
成佛果
coffin could
然
float
临
in the
终时
sky,
心
in the
自
air,
静
and
至意，
rotated.
言起略有不合，而只能在中有中
However,
或
at the
者
time
大
of
所
his
应成就
passing, because his disciples cleansed
这
his
个
body,
当这个
this
中
affinity
医
was
师
affected, and he could
这个
only
离开
have
人间
attainment
的
of
时候啊，
Mahamudra.
他的弟子
When
给
the
他用
Drogmi
人间的
Lotsawa
杖法把他杖，人间的杖法把他杖，
was passing into nirvana, his disciples buried him according to the worldly norm, and they cleanse his body and perform some ritual on it. So, Yuan Qi, in Tantrayana, we stress great importance on Yuan Qi. Yuan Qi is the beginning of the affinity. One time, I paid a visit to a Dharma teacher. At that time, he wasn't a Dharma master, and he had built a temple or spiritual center. So that was my first time meeting him. So a monk who had built a spiritual center, and I never visited the center. So for the first time, and he invited me for tea. And there was a table, and he was seated on the seat where he could make the tea, and I was seated across from him. So he made the tea, and then he served the tea to Grandmaster, to me. So the seat where one would sit on to make the tea is rather high. And then there are several seats lower than that. So after he made the tea and pour it into a cup, he would place the cups. He would give the cups to the guests. So the first time I met him, I was seated on the lower seat. I was also seated, but because he was the host, he was seated at the higher seat. And he said, "Oh, Grandmaster, please have some tea." And then I got the tea from below him and then drink that. That was our first meeting. So that's called Yuan Qi, which is the beginning of the affinity. In Tantrayana, it's very important. So you just took refuge not very long, and then you invited me to your chapter, and he made tea to serve us, and he always did it like that. But because of the beginning of the affinity like this, later on, although he became a Dharma master, I knew in my heart that he would leave me eventually. In my heart, I knew that this spiritual center would not belong to True Buddha school, that sooner or later he would leave. So this is called the affinity that is not maturing. So please let me know what Yuan Qi is, or the beginning of the affinity. Let me tell you another story. When I visit Master Dupten Darji, Master Dupten Darji said, "Sijun, Grandmaster, please sit here." He asked me to sit there, so I sat there. And my guru was talking to me and chatting with me. And then I went home. And then later on, one of our Dharma masters visited Master Dupten Darji. And Master Dupten Darji told this master, "Before your lineage root guru, your grandmaster, came here and sat here and chatted with me. And he asked this master, "Would you like to sit here?" And immediately he went and sit there. So Master Dutantarji didn't say anything. This is the seat that your guru had sat before. Would you like to sit here? And immediately he sat there. And then the following time I visited Master Dutantarji, he told me, "One of your masters sat on your seat. This master would betray you in the future." So this is called that the initial affinity is not good. Because Master Dutantarji said, this is the seat where your lineage root guru had sat before. So the seat of your lineage root guru, typically, most masters would not dare to take. But he did right away, so that showed that he didn't respect the root guru. So in the future, he would betray you. So this is called Yuan Qi, or the beginning of an affinity. So when Drokmi Lotsawa passed away, his disciples touched on it, so he could not use his physical body to fly. So he could only have the attainment of Mahamudra during Bardo. So he could not fly with his physical body. Normally he could, that even the physical body could attain Buddhahood. But because of the disciples, the initial affinity could not mature. So his physical body could not attain Buddhahood, and he could only attain Buddhahood during Bardo, that the spirit became light, and the light entered into the bright light and had the attainment of Mahamudra. So at the time of his passing, because his disciples cleansed his body, this affinity was affected, and he could only have attainment during Bardo. So now, do you understand? It's good that you understand. So sometimes, when Grandmaster take a look at the disciple, and just now, we didn't have the good start. So in the future, you would leave me. But I wouldn't say it right away. Hey, you would betray me in the future. Hey, you would leave me in the future. Or you would eat up my true Buddha temple. That everybody donated or contributed. I auctioned my dragon robe and give the money for the establishment of the temple, and everybody donated, and then they want to sue us. That's really meaningless for a monk to sue. Only a mundane, ordinary people would file a lawsuit. But for a monk to do that, it's it sounds so bad. So if they want a temple, let them have it. You know, a donation of a grain of rice is as big as a Mount Sumeru. If you don't cultivate spiritually, then all the hair on your body would be in bondage. So you would be like lamb soup. So that's why the lineage root guru in Tantrayana is extremely important. And lineage is very important. So this is the start of the affinity, and you may not know what Yuanqi means. Like my explanation earlier, the first time we met, it was like that. One time, I visited a master's chapter, actually not the chapter, the house, their home. As soon as I got in, he said, "Oh, just take a seat anywhere." And there was only one bench, and his son was sleeping there, and there was only a small space. So I sat there, and the son was a teenager. He was taking a nap. So I was seated next to his son taking a nap. That was also the start of the affinity. The first time I visited your chapter, you took me to your living room, and there was only a bench where your son was taking a nap on, and you asked me to sit there. And I thought, oh no, the master was about to die. Ding ding. Master Dubdantaji often said this, ding ding meaning dead. And in Taiwan, there was a pharmacy called the Ding Ding Pharmacy. So the Ding Ding in Hong Kong and Ding Ding in Taiwan are different. Master Dubdantaji's Ding Ding means dead. There was a child napping there, and he asked Grandmaster to sit there. A teenager napping. So this means the start of the affinity is not good. And sure enough, later on, a Buddha temple was gone, was swallowed by him. He ate the temple. Another temple was swallowed up. So there are many initial affinity like this. So when the first time you meet someone, how they treat you, you would know whether it is good or not. And in Tantrayana, this is very important. And the meaning, 中有 means 中阴 or 灵魂. It's like when you become a spirit, and then you see the pure light, and then you merge with the pure light, then you would have the attainment of Mahamudra. That means the attainment during Bardo. A secretary kept holding on the boss, and I guess this is your phone. And what do you mean you guess? If it's mine, it's mine. If it's not, it's not. Oh, because the the person calling asks that please have that old
你请董事长来接电话，原来是董事长的电话，就秘书接了电话，他说
the old muddlehead to listen to take the call,
这个可以讲
you know.
延期就不太合。
So the secretary should have known that the call is for the chairman or not,
或者是
but because the person calling
比他大的
just say
比他
that
更大的或者是怎么样，或者
get
是
that muddlehead
请那个老
to take the
老
call.
黄
So
店长的台湾话
the person calling maybe is the wife or somebody older than the chairman.
就是这样。
So the
所以一
the
般来讲
start was not good.
根本上
So typically speaking, lineage root guru is lineage root guru, and guru is guru,
根本上是至上，
or master, or dharma master is
将
dharma
来一定
master,
会离开。
and a grandmaster is grandmaster. But if the dharma master is taking grandmaster's place, then the initial affinity is not good, then maybe you would leave.
很有成就。
But of course, if your spiritual cultivation results in good attainments, and if you have true attainments, then grandmaster would respect you too, would know. But if the masters don't have attainment, then that's the sign of bad initial affinity.
有一个老婆啊，退休以后，
An old man, after
每
retirement,
天便
was
教鹦
bored,
鹉说话。
and every day
他
he
每天早上必须
teaches
教他
the
早上
parrot
好
to talk, and
可是
every
几个
morning
月
would
以
say
后啊
good
鹦鹉
morning.
都不开口。
But after a few months, the
这个
parrot
老头
never
子非常的
says
气馁
anything,
说这个鹦鹉
and the
不
old man
可
got
教
mad
我每一次叫他
and
早上好，他
felt
都不
that
也
the
都不
parrot
不讲话
just couldn't be taught.
以后他每天早上就不再教了，
And afterwards,
教了几个月以后就不再
he
教了。
didn't teach
这
the
个时候
parrot
只
anymore.
听到鹦鹉对着老头喊：“老头
And
啊，
then the parrot called
你今
out,
天为什么不跟我问好？
"Why didn't you say hi to me today? Why didn't you say good morning to me?"
然后早上好了，每天我教你早上好，早上好。
Every
他都不答话
morning,
那有一
he
天
said
不教了
to
这
the
个
parrot,
不会
"Good
讲话
morning, good morning, good morning." He
有一天
didn't
这个
say
鹦鹉跟
anything.
他讲你为
And
什么
then
没
he
有跟我
stopped
问好
talking, and then the parrot instead asked, "Why didn't you
鹦鹉
say
是
good
根本
morning
上
to
师
me?"
啊
So the parrot is the lineage root guru.
每个人跟他问好的，不过礼貌上还是互相的啦。
So everybody say the greetings to him. But
所以这个缘起也是不合
ethically, we should be mutual.
缘起不合
So this is also
本来
not a
那
good
只鹦
start
鹉
of the
你
affinity.
敢不说话，变成这个 yakitori。
A parrot that doesn't
yakitori 是什么
talk
啊
would
烧
become
鸟
yakitori, which is barbecued bird.
烧了吃了。
So you barbecue it and eat it.
一个医学系的学生问教授，
A medical
中医
student
跟
asked
西
the
医有什么
professor,
差别？
"What's the difference
教授
between
回答
Chinese medicine
西医
and
是
Western
治
medicine?"
标，中医
And the
是治
professor
本
replied that the
学生
Western
问那
medicine
中医
cure
西医结
the
合呢
symptoms, and the
教授
Chinese
回答
medicine cures
中
the
西
root.
结合就制成
And
标
the
本
combination of Chinese and Western medicine is become to play off with Chinese.
这个
So you
这个教
become
授
the
也是
stuff.
也是混蛋的，讲实在话。 中医西医结合，相得益彰就可以了哦，相得益彰就可以。
The
怎么都制成
professor
标本
must be
所以这个是
really devious too.
今天就讲到这里吧。
You could
我们
have said that it is a good combination to cure everything, but
非常
That's all
感
for
谢根
today,
本
Om Mani
传承
Padme Hum.
上师。